The Arch Gaming Network is proud to bring you this board game review. Now here's your host, Sean Smith.
Hello, and thank you for stopping by. Today we're going to take a look at the game Dice City, which was designed by this guy. I don't want to butcher his name, and I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it is published by AEG. Dice City is, of course, a dice rolling game. It's a city building game, worker placement game, and there's a little bit of take that to it as well, although personally I don't think it's that germane to the game, but it's there. And this game features a dice rolling mechanism where you will be rolling to place your dice on your city and then deciding how you want to activate the various spots and dice that you have rolled so that you can collect resources, build an army, attack bandits, send out goods on a cargo ship, and other various ways to gain victory points to win the game. But is it any good? Well, let's take a look at the game and I'll give you my thoughts on the other side. Okay, to set up the game, each player is going to get a city board, and then you're going to separate out the deactivation tokens, pass tokens, victory points. These are the resources. Each player will also get a set of 5 colored dice. And then over here, you're going to set up, these are bandit cards. You're going to separate them by what they're worth on victory points. They're worth 2, 3, and 4 victory points. You have trade ships. Then this line here are your regular location upgrade cards. It's a quarry, so it has stone. But then you have lumber, ore, and army camps. And then these cards here are special ability locations. You're going to put out 8 of those at random, and now you're ready to start the game. Okay, the object of the game is to gather resources so that you can upgrade locations in your city that will help you to gather more resources or more army strength so that you can attack bandits, neighboring cities, or send cargo on your trade ships, or to accumulate special location cards that give you various abilities. You're trying to gain the most victory points before one of 4 end of game scenarios happens. So let's take a look at how a turn works. Now, as you can see, we just have a setup here for one person. This game actually does play 1 to 4 people. We're just going to assume there are other players, but there's too much here to try to get those players into the picture. So at the beginning of the game, all players will take the dice, roll them, and they're going to assign them to the spaces according to the number and color. So you have yellow, 1 goes there, white, 3 there, there, and right there. Okay, so starting with the first player, the starting player, you're going to take your turn, and then it'll move clockwise around the table. And a turn consists of 4 steps. So the first step is the dice use step, and during your turn, you can do several things with your dice. The first thing you can do is activate the spot that they're on. So, for example, this spot here says I get 1 victory point. So I could just remove that and gain a victory point. So if I needed to collect, say, wood, I could take this off and collect some wood. The next thing you can do is remove a die from one line so that you can move on another. So for example, let's say I didn't want to collect wood this turn. I'm really trying to collect stone. Well, I could remove a die from another line. I could remove this one. I'm just going to remove it, and then I can move this over 1. Now I can remove from another and move it again, or move another. You can remove a die to remove all 4 of these special location, or 4 of these special location cards, and put new ones out. You can only do that once per turn. If you happen to have a spot that was deactivated, Okay, you could remove a die from any line, even this one, to remove that deactivation token. We'll talk about how that happens in a moment. If you don't want to do the action or have anything to move, you could just remove one, take one of these pass tokens, and save that up. That also you can only do once per turn. If you've collected any pass tokens throughout the rounds, you can turn those in during the dice phase. By turning in 2 of these pass tokens, you can gain a resource of your choice. You can increase your army strength by 1, or you can force all other players to re-roll one of their dice of your choice. Okay, I've set up a new scenario on the board, different type of die roll here. And so that we can talk about the attack step that follows the dice step. So when you land on army spaces, it gives you an attack strength equal to the number on the sword. Now these swords only have, well, they don't have a number at all, so it's 1. So right now I have an attack of 2 army. If I wanted, I could remove this die, move this one over, and get an attack strength of 3. Now that you have an attack strength, you can either attack bandits or you can attack other people's locations. To attack a bandit, for example, you have an attack strength of 3. So as long as I have, like this bandit takes 4, he has a defense of 4, so I could not attack this bandit. However, these bandits, victory points worth 2, has a defense of 3. I have an attack strength of 3, so I can attack these bandits, and then I would get these bandits, put it into my pile along with any victory points that I have. You can also attack neighboring cities, so you can attack someone else's location. So let's say someone had an attack strength of 3 and they wanted to attack my city. Well, right now there's nothing for them to attack because I have all the default locations. But let's say I had added this card, and this is Stables, gives you special abilities. It has a defense of 3. All right, let's say I had that on my board and one of my neighbors attacked me with an attack strength of 3. Since they have a 3 and my defense is 3, they would attack that, and now that becomes deactivated and I cannot use it until it is reactivated, which of course I can take a die off during the dice step and remove it to reactivate it. You can also attack a neighbor's supply. So if for every attack strength of 2, you can steal 1 resource from them, whether it's stone or wood. Now your attack strength is spent at the end after an attack. You can't keep using that attack strength over and over. Additionally, it's important to note that you cannot save attack strength from round to round. So once your turn is over, your attack strength drops back to 0 and you have to start over. Okay, after the attack step, we move to the building and trade step. Now, let's say that I have accumulated 2 of each resource, and what I can do with those is either start building, or, for example, this trade ship, if I have 2 wood, 2 stone, 2 ore, I could turn those in, send this ship off, and get 5 victory points. The other thing I can do is to begin buying upgrades. So this line here, you have regular upgrades. So this mine allows you to get 2 ore. You also have your regular army camps that give you an attack of 2 to your army. To buy them, you would pay the amount listed here. Then you have the 8 special buildings at the top. This one's a stable, so this one says you can move one of your unused dice to any location on its row. Could come in handy. Has a defense of 3, gives you 1 victory point at the end of the game, costs 2 wood. I'll take the 2 wood, and then I'm going to put this somewhere on the board. When I am placing a card, any card, doesn't matter which one I bought, you can place it anywhere on your city. It does not have to be on blue. I could cover up my army. I could cover up one of my quarries or resources. It's up to me to decide. So maybe I don't want to be an army person, so I'm going to cover that up. So that's the building and trade step. After you've done that, you're going to move on to the end of turn step. At the end of the turn, you cannot have more than one of each type of resource. So if I had these resources, I would have to turn 2 of them back in and just keep the other 2. I can keep the others, but I either use them or lose them. So when it gets to the building and trade step, you're going to want to make sure to spend as many of these as you can, or you do lose them. You can't keep them from round to round. Keeping in mind, you can have as many pass tokens as you want. You're then going to re-roll all your dice, place them on the board. The next player will go, and you'll keep going around the board or around the table until one of 4 end of game scenarios happens. So the first thing, if all 4 of these bandit cards are gone, or I'm sorry, all 3 of these piles are gone, the game ends. If 2 of the 3 trade ship piles are gone, that also ends the game. If you run out of the special location cards, which would be hard to do, but I guess it's possible, then that triggers the end of the game. Or if someone has completely upgraded 2 rows, then that will also trigger the end of game. When that happens, all players will get 1 more turn until it reaches the start player. That ensures that everyone has an equal number of turns. After that happens, you're going to count up all the victory points you've been gathering, any victory points you've gotten from bandits and trade ships. You'll also get victory points for the upgraded locations in your city. So you'll add all those up as well. Even if they're deactivated at the time that the game ends, you still get those victory points. Whoever has the most victory points is the winner. So Dice City is a really fun game. I love the way that you can customize your own city to suit the way that you want to play. Do you want to build up an army and attack bandits, or maybe go after other cities, or try to collect the resources so that you can send off cargo ships, or a nice combination of the two? The upgrade cards give you such interesting possibilities as far as customizing your own city. It really is an enjoyable game. The components to the game are nice, and the artwork is really good. I like the fact that you can play it 1 to 4 players. So it has a solo mode, and I wouldn't say the game's complex. The mechanics are fairly simple. There is a lot to think about. So the game can take on, can get a little lengthy. Now, the suggestion is that it plays 45 to 60 minutes. And if you're playing 4 players, I don't think that's very realistic. A lot of times what you see is players really trying to figure out exactly what they want to do on their turn. So the more players that you have, the longer it takes to get back to your turn. And sometimes that's kind of a bad thing. However, if you're using that time to strategize, okay, this is what I'm planning to do, provided the cards I want aren't gone, then the turns can kind of keep going. So if I really had any complaint with the game, it is the fact that sometimes it takes long in between turns. The other thing about the game is that sometimes it feels like you're just playing a solo game with other people. There isn't a lot of interaction between the cities. Sure, you can build up your army and attack other cities, but there's usually not a lot of benefit to doing that. So most of the time, you're just working on your board, kind of keeping an eye on what everyone else is doing so that you can kind of see how close maybe we're getting to an end game scenario. But for the most part, it is kind of a solo game that you're playing with other players. Still, I really have a lot of fun with this game. I think it's just an interesting concept. The various ways that you can upgrade your city are wonderful. So for that reason, I give it a solid 7 out of 10. Now, if you like this review, take a minute, hit the like button down below. And please take a moment to subscribe for other great videos. Once again, thank you for stopping by.
This Flash review was brought to you by the Arch Gaming Network. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook.